There's another protest for transgender civil rights in Kansas. This is from ksnt.com. Stick around, we're going to talk about it. It says, "We exist. Activists protest trans bathroom bill at the Kansas State House." Dozens of local activists were at the Kansas State Capitol building on Friday, packing the old Supreme Court room to protest an anti-transgender bill that was recently passed by the legislature. During the House Commerce meeting on February 6, lawmakers met to discuss the Kansas Star Bond program. However, as the meeting began, protesters quickly filled up the seats inside the committee room. This protest was over Senate Bill 244, a bill that would prevent transgender Kansans from using bathrooms based on their gender identity. It was passed by the legislature with no public testimony, meaning Kansans were not given an opportunity to weigh in on the bill at the Capitol building. And side note, this is happening everywhere. Trans voices and our allies are being ignored and silenced. And in some situations, they've literally been thrown out of the room at public hearings like this. Obviously, it's not how you deal with the problem. This regime and Republicans all over the country are incapable of leadership. When you refuse to listen to your constituents, it upsets the public. Backlash towards the government is now growing. Protests are being suppressed in the news because our mainstream news is all compromised to the regime. Not only about trans issues, but also the hell they have caused with immigration enforcement. Back to the article. Therefore, dozens of activists were at the State House on Friday, hoping to make a statement by using their preferred restrooms and displaying signs at committee meetings. The bill currently sits on the desk of Kansas Governor Laura Kelly, who has vetoed a number of anti-trans bills over the years. She will have the option to veto this bill, allowing it to become law without her signature or sign it into law. Jalen Abig, a local activist, said the whole situation illustrates a sickness that exists within the Kansas legislature. Was this really worth making this the first order of business when the legislature came back into session? This is a picture of a legislature that has its priorities very misaligned. We're here to say that we exist and that we're not going to let lawmakers who know nothing about us legislate us out of existence, said Jay Moyer, one of the protesters. And that's exactly what Republicans are attempting to do. Legislate the LGBT community out of existence, starting with trans people. It's a larger effort to commit a genocide against transgender Americans. Multiple genocide experts have already stated this. And in this first quote that I read, when she said there is a sickness in the Kansas legislature, I think she was referring to the sickness of religious cultism and a desire to turn our democracy into an authoritarian regime. Currently, the regime is building 23 new concentration camps in at least 8 different states in the United States. They're detaining non-criminal citizens. People are literally disappearing and dying in their custody. It's expected the regime will try and rig this year's elections processes by making it more difficult for people to vote, having armed agents at voting stations, and who knows what else they'll attempt. So yes, these priorities are misaligned. It seems their priorities aren't on the American people at all. I think the Republican Party will really suffer from all of this. And how could anyone ever trust the Republican Party after what we've been through over the last year? There's no honesty, there's no empathy, there's no humanity. It's just all abuse. Americans are outraged. I'm hearing stories of people that were triple Trump voters, and they have now left the Republican Party forever. Banning trans people from restrooms is ridiculous, but it's also extremely dangerous. When trans people, particularly trans women, are forced to use the wrong restroom, the men's room, they're at serious risk of sexual assault and violent hate crimes, and also murder. Trans women are the number one targeted group for murder in the LGBT community. No woman should be dehumanized like this, being forced to go in the men's room. No woman should be forced into a dangerous situation. This is psychological warfare on transgender people. And it's already proven with facts that trans people aren't posing any danger to anyone in bathrooms. And don't let me forget to tell you about their plan. Republicans are planning in red states that have implemented these trans bathroom bans. They're planning to do genital checks on women and children that go in the women's restroom, in addition to checking their IDs. So before you can enter a bathroom, you have to let some random dude look at your private parts. So all women and children are now at risk in these states. This is a failure of a plan, and it's highly discriminatory, not to mention it's sexual assault. So the same party that's protecting pedos wants to look at women's and children's genitals? Who's going to do this? Republican men? Doctors? Trained genital inspectors? We don't have those, I'm kidding. How is this going to be funded? Did you consider the way women feel in all of this? Do you consider the fact that if a trans person has had genital surgery, you won't even be able to tell? This is sexually abusive behavior. This is traumatic and it's psychotic behavior. And it's all unnecessary because Republicans' arguments are all fabricated. Thank you guys for listening. Please like this, leave your comments, subscribe if you want to stay updated on important news like this, and leave your comments. I'll be back very soon. Bye, guys.